Hi children, welcome back to AP Macroeconomics with me, Mr. Fritz. Today we're going to talk about inflation. First and foremost, all inflation really is just the increase in prices. If inflation is occurring, that means that prices are going up. As prices go up, your purchasing power of the dollar is going to decrease. And what that means is each dollar is going to become less valuable as prices rise. What used to cost $1 might now cost $2, and that means each individual dollar is now worth less. An example, when I was in high school, the sodas in the machines at school cost 75 cents each. Now, when I go to the soda machines at the school where I work, they're $1.75, and it's only been about 15 years. What used to cost you $1 might cost you $2 now, and that means that the dollar today would only be worth about 50 cents or 50% of what it was before. Inflation doesn't affect everybody the same way. Some people are hurt by inflation while others are helped by inflation. People that are helped by inflation are going to include people that borrow money on a fixed interest rate. If I borrowed money 10 years ago and I'm paying a fixed interest rate, meaning that each month I'm paying back the same amount of money that I did the month before, and this has been going on for years, then as prices increase, each dollar that I pay back to the bank feels like it's worth less and less money because it buys less and less stuff. So over time, as I pay back the bank money that I borrowed 10 years ago, it feels cheaper and cheaper for me, so it has less of an effect. Another group that benefits from inflation is going to be producers. As long as costs don't rise as quickly as prices. Let's take a grocery store, for example. If the price of everything in the store that the grocery store is selling is increasing and they can charge their customers more, but their costs haven't risen, costs like wages. If they can still pay their employees the same wage that they did before, but now everything they sell, they can charge more, that's going to lead to them having a higher profit in the interim before the wages rise again to catch up with that inflation. People that are hurt by inflation are going to be anybody that loans money at a fixed interest rate. So like a bank or maybe someone that owns a bond. Remember earlier, I owe money back to the bank and the prices are rising, so each dollar I give to them is worth less. Well, if I was better off from inflation, the bank is going to be worse off. Each month, the bank is getting paid back a dollar that is worth less than they thought it was going to be. So they're going to lose out on those rising prices. Other people hurt by inflation are going to be people that save money. If I'm saving money in the bank and inflation is outpacing the interest rate that I'm earning for keeping my money in the bank, then I am actually going to be losing money by keeping it in the bank because prices are getting so higher. It would have been better off for me to spend that dollar a year ago than to keep it in the bank until today because prices are going up. Other people that are hurt by inflation are going to be people on a fixed income. So like retired people that receive Social Security payments, if they're getting like $900 every month from the government or their retirement, and prices keep going up, eventually that $900 they're receiving every month isn't going to be able to pay for all of their needs. Finally, another group that's going to be hurt by inflation is people who get paid low wages, like minimum wage. If I'm being paid minimum wage and prices keep going up each month, over time, my dollar isn't going to actually be buying me the same amount of stuff. And if I'm still making minimum wage, then I'm actually going to be earning less real value for my labor. Not only is there inflation, there's also disinflation and deflation. Disinflation really just means that prices aren't rising as quickly as they used to. So when you're experiencing disinflation, prices are still going up, they're just not going up as fast as they used to. Let's say maybe last year there was a 2% inflation rate, but this year it's only 1%. We're still experiencing inflation, but it's less than it was before, so we would call that disinflation. On the other hand, deflation is when prices are actually decreasing and your inflation rate gets below zero and prices are actually going down. That sounds great, but if you owe money to someone else, so if you're in debt and you owe money back to someone like the bank, like most of us are, because we own our house or a car or something, not because of foolishness. If you're in debt and you have to pay it back and prices are decreasing, each dollar that you're giving back to the bank is worth more and more. And so that's actually going to be a negative for you. The main way that we measure inflation in the United States is using the Consumer Price Index. When we're talking about the Consumer Price Index, essentially what we're doing is we're looking at a market basket of goods and services that consumers in the United States tend to buy in a given year. It's made up of things like housing and healthcare and transportation and clothing and entertainment, stuff like that. So essentially what you're doing, you're looking at the same exact quantity and quality of goods and services and buying that same exact stuff from one year to the next and measuring how prices change. So we might look at what the same exact quantity and quality of housing and healthcare and entertainment cost in 1984, buying it again in the year 2020, and then measuring how much prices have changed between those 2 years. That's our main way of measuring inflation in this country. Just like the GDP deflator that I taught you before, the CPI and the GDP deflator are both price indexes, and you can use both of them to measure inflation. You're just going to keep using your same old percent change formula, that new minus old divided by old times 100 thing that I taught you before. In my next video, I'm going to teach you how to create a price index, use that price index to calculate inflation rates between one year and another, and use that price index in order to turn nominal values into real values. So we're going to look at nominal salaries and turn that into real salaries by accounting for the inflation, so we can measure what we're really earning from one year to the next. Look out for that video next. Goodbye, children.